People I grew up with are doing super well. But I'm, kind of like, I really want this lifestyle to work and I'm willing to make these sacrifices for it, but it also sometimes is like, am I really making the right choices or the right sacrifices to make it work? So like I come from like Gurnee, Illinois. I actually like lived there my whole life, and I actually went to like private Catholic school my whole life. So I was always kind of like in a certain bubble, which is why at this point I was kind of in my like 20s after college. I was ready to like get out and explore, because I would always kind of during grade school, during high school, I was just in the Midwest America with mostly like white families and going to private school, so I didn't really get to experience too much outside of that. Then I went to college, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do at that point, to be honest. So I ended up studying sport management because I had always been kind of like into sports, playing sports. I enjoyed sports, and at the time, the girl I was dating, her sister was pretty successful in sport management. So I was like, oh, this is something good to go into. Hindsight, I really wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I would have studied something more generic, but at that time, I guess, in America, it's like you just have to go to college. Like people, that's the mindset. Just go to college, get your degree, and everything will work itself out. So during college, then I worked outside. I worked at a state park as one of my jobs. I worked for the football and basketball team at University of Missouri, which is where I went to school. So also in the Midwest, like kind of still part of like similar culture. Still like a bubble there, it felt like. And then after that, I did my first big trip after I graduated college there, which was going to Thailand with one of my friends. So we went to Thailand, Laos, and Cambodia. I really think that trip like really changed like my mindset a lot about life, because it really like opened me up to something which I was never like really aware of before. Just like when you go travel, it just really opens up your mind, and you meet like such cool and interesting people, and then you kind of start thinking of different opportunities that are available to you at that point. So once I returned from that trip, I was just a brand new graduate, and I was in the process of searching for a job at that time. So a few months had passed. When after your new graduate, you kind of get a little frustrated, like things aren't going your way, you're not getting the job right away. So that was happening to me, and then I got this like notification on Facebook for an advertisement. Oh, teach English in China, which is something I had never thought of doing, or I never even really had interest in going to China. I was interested in like other places, like in Asia, like Thailand, like I went there, like Japan or something, but I never in my head was thinking, oh, I want to go to China, like that never even was a thought for me. But when that came, I was like, hey, maybe this be something cool for me to do. Why don't I go, apply for this? So I applied for the job, and I actually had just a little bit of experience with like working with like kids in the past. So I was like, maybe I can get this. So yeah, like a few days later, I ended up getting the call. It was with Education First. It's like one of the most popular, like largest, like, I guess cram schools, like, there in China. And, yeah, I ended up getting the job with them. But shortly thereafter, like just like a week or so, I finally, like got my foot in, and then got an interview with, like a financial job, which is like what the goal was the whole time. Hey, get a finance job. So I ended up getting a job with, Volkswagen Credit, like Ducati, like doing auditing for them. So at that point, I was like, oh shoot, like, I really was like interested in going to China, but then I finally got, this job that I was going for in finance, like what am I going to do? So I really thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to work this job for 6 months, just make some money. And at the time I was also working on my master's online in finance and economics. So I was like, just like see how it feels, like just, take it and then tell the China job, hey, I'll come in 6 months. So that's what I did. And then during the time I was working there, like I just was working crazy hours, like 60 hours a week. At the same time, like going home after and then doing my master's program, like a few classes every semester. So it was like it was about 2 semesters I was doing it, 2 during the summer and then just 2 during that, first spring semester. So I was kind of like overworking myself, and I was like, you know what? After this, like, I'm going to do it. I'm ready, like, to go to China and like see what this experience is all about. So ended up like going to China, to Shenzhen, to teach English there for 9 months. And that experience was just amazing. Like when I first got there, like I was like so out of my comfort zone. But then like, they really do a good job of making sure like to make you comfortable. You're there with a bunch of other like expats, like, from America, the UK, any other like Australia. So you kind of like make some camaraderie with them and have like an enjoyable time, but you're still like, kind of in sometimes if you let yourself, you're like in a little bubble of like foreigners. But no, that experience, was amazing for me, because during that time I also started working, like part-time at another, company in China, which was like a business development company like WeWork. So they rented office space in like, it's Futian. It's like the central business district of Shenzhen. And they also like brought foreign companies, there and helped them set up business in China. So it just kind of like opened my mind, like, hey, like, there's just, there are so many opportunities out here in the world, like not just in America, for interesting things. I want to like continue growing and learning, how to fit in the global marketplace, not just in America. Like, it's easy enough to get a job in America and just like stay like moving up the ladder, your whole life. But I feel like if you're not kind of live as a fulfilling life as you could if you like, for me, like, I really feel like, putting myself, during this time in other countries is more important for my personal growth and professional growth than just kind of just sticking there. Okay, so the struggles I have at present is I feel like it's really like all in your mind. Like, for example, like I'm kind of making some sacrifices here, because it's difficult for me to get a high paying American job because I'm living in Colombia. So every time I have an interview, I have to go ahead and say, oh, like I'm living in Colombia. Is this going to be okay? Every time so far, it's been about 3 months now. It's, oh no, like we can't work with you. So the biggest struggle, is just, mentally, like, support, like knowing like, okay, how are we going to make this work? Especially coming from, like I'm from Chicago area. People are doing pretty well up there. So like all of my friends that I grew up with, they kind of settled into that, typical American life, go to college, get a good job, work your way up. Seeing them be successful, of course I'm happy for them. I want them to be successful. But then for me at this time when I'm trying to like build my channel and trying to make this lifestyle that I want, it's more difficult because my friend, it's like you want to keep up with your peers. You want to, it's not like a competition with your friends really. You're going to get a little bit not. But if you see like, hey, my friend's doing super well, people I grew up with are doing super well, but I'm, kind of like, I really want this lifestyle to work and I'm willing to make these sacrifices for it, but it also sometimes is like, am I really making the right choices or the right sacrifices to make it work? I guess that's like the biggest struggle, for me at this point is just, you always question, you don't always question yourself, like this feels right. So I feel like this is the right thing to do for me at this time. You always can take risks and you can always make up for those risks later usually, but, yeah, the biggest struggle is just making sure, like, you feel like this is the right thing. And when you see it, you always want what other you can't have, other people are doing something, then you kind of, yeah. I would hope to have like a global presence. So like my ultimate dream here is kind of to set up, there's this guy called Nomad Capitalist. He kind of really like pushes like a lot of idea. Like I kind of like, he kind of shaped a lot of my like wants and ideas at this point. So, he talks about like this trifecta lifestyle, like living in Australia 3 months a year, living in like Asia like 3 months a year, or like 4 months a year, and living in America. Like he like lived different places, experienced different cultures, always chased like a summertime, always chased like what season you prefer. So when I look back, I would like to, or like in the future, I guess like that's the whole purpose of the question is I would like to have myself set up where I can have like freedom to go where I want because I have, like a property there. I'm able to get like a passport in another country. like freedom of money. So I'm not really like too worried about, obviously everyone's going to try to get to that by the time they're 50 or 60. Like, oh, it's time to relax at that point. Maybe you have, saved enough money. You can kind of, enjoy life more at that point. So, that's my goal, is that I want, freedom of where I'm at that point, and freedom to not worry too much about like, money. But like, I'm not that money motivated where I'm not trying to be like a millionaire like right now or anything, or I just want enough money to like live, happily and be able to, experience, the world. When I travel, I'm not looking to stay in like nice hotels or go to the nicest restaurants. I want to kind of have an equal experience. Like, you have some nice restaurants, but you also are going to go where the locals are going and have like the in-depth experience. For example, like I visited Delhi, India once, and I just went out on the street one night and was looking for a place to eat where it was like I knew it was just like hardworking, like local people. So I finally this like hole in the wall restaurant where they're like serving like curry out of a huge cauldron, where all they're doing is like taking like the naan, the bread, and then taking the curry out of the huge cauldron, serving it up to very hardworking, like lower, very low income, kind of sad people. So I was like, this is the experience I want to have. Like, I want to try what they're trying. I want to eat what they're eating,